but not as far. So we head that way. How are we going for? Okay, are you guys ready?
My name is Kevin Struisbaai and I am the Curator of Operations and Animal Husbandry at the Two Oceans Aquarium. Blue, one of our large raggy-toothed sharks that we have just released, she arrived on the 3rd of May 2018, so she's been with us for about 8 years now.
I had the privilege of caring for Blue, along with 3 other raggy-toothed sharks, Charlie, Delta and Echo, during my time as an aquarist at the Two Oceans Aquarium. They all arrived in 2018 after being rescued from an illegal wildlife trafficking operation. They had been destined for export overseas before law enforcement intercepted them at Cape Town International Airport.
She weighed about 26 kilograms. Initially, she went into our quarantine facility. She was there for about a month. In that time period, we made sure that she was healthy, there was no issues. Our quarantine team took good care of her, made sure she was eating and everything was good, along with the 3 other sharks that were also rescued from the airport at that time.
It was a reminder, a powerful reminder actually, that wildlife trafficking doesn't just involve rhinos or pangolins, that sharks are victims too. The 4 sharks were at very different life stages. Delta and Echo, the 2 smaller sharks, recovered quickly and were released not long after their rescue. Blue and Charlie, however, stayed with us for a few years. I actually named them after the 4 velociraptors from Jurassic World. And as they say, once you name them, you get attached. And I absolutely did. And it was incredibly rewarding to watch them grow and thrive in our care.
I just want to wait for it to move away from the window. Yeah? Just want to move away from the window, otherwise she's going to turn, but I want to smash her head into the window.
While they're in the predator exhibit, the staff that are caring for them make sure that they are well fed, they are healthy, they don't show any signs of disease or stress. So we monitor them daily, their observations, continual observations, they continually monitor how much food they're eating. This all gets recorded so that we can see if there are any changes in the feeding or behavioral changes.
Good morning, my name is Xolela Mbecheni. I am working here at Two Oceans Aquarium. I'm working as an aquarist. So I am looking after this tank, Predator. In the exhibit, I am maintaining all the exhibit, cleaning the windows, the sand, like siphoning, and feeding all the fish and the sharks as well. So when we're doing the shark feed, we don't throw the fish as we do when we're feeding the fish, because the sharks are always swimming at the bottom, and then we have to dive in and feed the sharks, and we've only feed our sharks once a week.
Something many people don't realize is that at the Two Oceans Aquarium, the sharks are never intended to stay there for life. They are considered ambassadors for their species, giving thousands of people the opportunity to see these incredible animals up close, helping replace fear with understanding. But once they begin to show signs of reaching maturity, they are released back into the ocean, where they can play their most important role, and that is contributing to the wild population.
Just drop it in like that, and then we'll sort it out in the water.
All right. So raggies do very well in aquarium settings because they are relatively docile, they're slow swimming, they're very easygoing. They are able to buccal pump, which means they can sit on the bottom and rest while still pumping water over their gills. And this also does make transporting them very much easier than other sharks. So your more pelagic species have to continually swim all the time. They also require a lot more space. So raggies, because the habitat that they occur in naturally, they don't need as much swimming space, and there are no boundaries, and they can work out the sides of exhibits relatively easy. They naturally occur in caves and gullies and those areas that have sides and boundaries. We are one of the very few aquariums around the world that are able to release our animals, and Blue and Charlie were very lucky in the fact that they ended up here. If it wasn't for the work that was done and them being confiscated, they probably would have ended up in an aquarium somewhere, or in the aquarium trade, or someone's private exhibit, and that would have been that's where they would have stayed for the rest of their lives. So yeah, so there's some good work that was done in the confiscation and the work that was done at the airport by the officials in spotting them at the airport, and their confiscation and ending up here meant that there's a happy ending for all four of those animals. So we released two early on, and then Blue and Charlie with their release, imminent release coming up for Charlie.
Hi, my name is Inga Adams. I'm the senior quarantine aquarist. And when Blue arrived, I was actually part of the Turtle Conservation Center, but everyone was aware about the confiscated sharks that arrived at the aquarium. So it was a big news story when they arrived. And so I checked them out when they got here and how small they were when they arrived. But I only really became involved with Blue when it came to her removal from the exhibit. At that point, I was running the quarantine facility, and so a lot of planning went into removing her from exhibit, all of the logistics that went into actually getting divers into the water and then moving her into quarantine. And then during her stay in quarantine, we monitored her for a month before she was released to the wild.
Let me just roll her in. You ready?
Yeah. So generally, the sharks here at the Two Oceans Aquarium, they don't stay with us for longer than 5 years. And so the decision to which shark to release is generally based on how long they've been with us. And so after Blue's time at the aquarium, she was the next shark to be released. She was close to 200 kilos. And at that point, anything more than that, it starts getting hard to handle them. So we decided to release Blue to the wild. And once they're in the ocean, for the majority of the sharks, they are acoustically tagged. So we do get that data, and we're able to track their movements post-release once they're out in the wild. And we've gotten really great information on natural like ragged-tooth shark movements after they've spent time in captivity. And we can see that they don't lose that like innate natural behavior. They follow the same migration patterns that they would as wild sharks. So it's really great to see that their 5 or so years in captivity has no impact on their natural behavior.
It's okay.
Sinking.
Cool. Okay, will you take that off there, mums? Take the blue one off.
So while Blue was in quarantine, every week we would sedate her and we would just give her a complete health check. She had a minor procedure where we implanted an acoustic tag. So we would just check the incision site, make sure that was healing properly, and then just draw blood just to make sure that she was completely healthy, monitoring her various blood levels. Just that by the time that the month quarantine period was over, that we were happy that she was healthy enough to be released to the wild.
The financial cost is huge, along with obviously transportation and shipping any animals via air freight is hugely expensive. So the animals, once they get into the industry, have a huge monetary value. And a lot of aquariums are adverse to then releasing an animal that they've spent a fortune on, along with some, obviously every country has their own permits and legislation. Like I said, we are very lucky in the fact that we are able to collect our own animals, and release them again back into the environment that we collected them from. So raggies especially, they only occur along certain areas, certain countries, and to transport them back to those areas it's a huge financial cost for a lot of places, so they don't do that.
Despite spending years in human care, sharks don't just forget how to be sharks. They receive no parental care after birth, so everything they need to survive is instinctive. They simply adapt to their surroundings, and when they return to the ocean, those natural instincts take over remarkably quickly. Blue's release is more than just the story of one shark returning to the ocean. Sharks are increasingly threatened by habitat loss, pollution, climate change, but their biggest threat is overfishing. Ragged-tooth sharks, like many other species, are sadly now listed as critically endangered globally. South Africa is one of few places where raggies still have a relatively healthy population, and our coastline is a really important breeding area for the species. This makes South Africa a lifeboat for a species in global decline.
Our large sharks, we release them every 6 to 8 years. So we don't collect them very often. It's a very limited number of animals that we do collect. That also gives us time to grow them up slightly, a larger size. And then with that, when we release them, we tag them and be able to monitor them. And also being a slightly larger size when we release means that they have a very good chance of survival, and the data that we get back on those tags is very good. And as mentioned previously, we have animals that have tagged and we've had 10 years worth of data coming back from them. Every shark that we release, we will tag. We've just ordered 11 more Vemco tags for the future. So we have a lot more sharks to tag and a lot more data and a lot more to provide to science to see what these animals do and where they go.
Oh, there's a tail.
Yeah, she's ready.
Perfect.
So Blue's release was actually really exciting. It was my second shark release. I remember the ocean being relatively calm.
It was a nice thing for me to release Blue, as much of some of us was very emotional. Also, I was also attached with Blue, but I was happy to release the animal because it was going to be happy at the sea. That's why the shark belonged.
So you guys just walk
Turning backwards.
keep an eye on where she is.
But the water is a lot clearer, so you can actually probably see it.
When we release our sharks, we tag them. We tag them internally with an acoustic tag. That tag lasts about 10 years. And the reason we do this is because there's a large data set of wild tag sharks. So we're able to compare what our sharks are doing to what wild sharks are doing. And so far it seems to be very similar. They're showing very similar movements at very similar times of the year. And those movements include northerly migrations up through to breeding grounds as well as to the gestation grounds of southern Mozambique and northern KZN. And then they're returning back down to the Eastern Cape in the winter months. And yeah, like I said, our sharks are following very similar patterns to the data that's showing by the wild sharks. So it's always a good sign when the sharks that we release from the aquarium are following those natural and their wild conspecifics. And it's always nice to see that data come back.
One of the biggest threats to sharks are firstly overfishing, so removing their natural prey items from the wild. So one of the things that you can do is looking at Sustainable Seafood Initiative. It's called SASSI. So you can follow their recommendations on which seafood you can eat, which you should avoid. And then also unsustainable fishing practices. Sharks often caught as bycatch in like trawl fishing nets. And so being aware of these different fishing practices and educating yourself on the effects of these practices on sharks in the wild. Sharks play such a crucial role in the ecosystem, and so we need to educate ourselves on how we can protect sharks and be scared for sharks, not of sharks. And she went off really quickly. She didn't take very long to wake up from the sedation, and Kevin and another of the divers just followed her after she swam out of the stretcher. And it was just really calm and peaceful, and you're always happy when you get to release an animal back into the wild. You know she's where she's supposed to be. She's served her time as an ambassador for her species, showing people, showing children how important sharks are to the ecosystem and to us as human beings, and why we need to protect ragged-toothed sharks. And she served that purpose while she was with us at the aquarium, and to see her going back home was really special.
When it comes to releasing the sharks and watching them swim back off into the wild, it does get a bit emotional. It's always nice to see them being returned back to where they came from. And it's even nicer when you get that first bit of data back and you can see where they've moved off to and where they've swum up to, and then being able to follow some of our animals over 10 years and watch their life unfold over a 10-year period it brings a bit of, it's a nice feeling to have.
Releasing Blue gives her the chance to do what she was always meant to do, not just survive in the wild, but help secure the future of her species. As someone who cared for Blue almost every day for many years, it's impossible not to feel connected to her. I knew her by the unique markings on her face and on her belly, and also certain behaviors. So every time I dive in the ocean in one of the ragged shark hotspots around our coastline, as silly as it sounds, I'll probably find myself looking a little closer, hoping to catch a glimpse of that familiar face. While I'm incredibly happy that she is back where she belongs, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit worried too because of the challenges sharks face in our ocean today. But more than anything though, I hope Blue reminds people that every single shark is worth fighting for, and that giving her the chance to return to the wild is exactly what conservation is all about.